Hi everybody, or hypothetical listener, just hello to the world. Uh, my name is K-Mac, and this is my live stream where I live stream, but this is basically just an excuse to practice inking for comics, or comic style inking. And something I'm working on before I start, I'm using this sound system that is not great. So it might happen that there's like a crinkling sound. I guess that's like the best way to describe it. And it's actually like kind of a headache to Google the problem. Because I'll just be talking and I'll like listen. And I'll listen to it back, and then there'll be this time where the sound just kind of like cuts out and is awful. And it always comes back. So if you're listening and you hear it and like my voice goes out for a while, it will come back. It's not like the rest of the live stream is like that. So today I wanted to work on something that was like something I'm working on just for drawing. Like just because I'm trying to get better at this kind of drawing. I'm using the RAM Studio free pens. They're not free, they're donation based, so if you download them, send a few bucks Rob's way. And so I'm using the technical pen, and so the technical pen is like the equivalent of, if you have them, a micron pen. It's just something that has like a small, or it's like a fine line that doesn't have like a ton of variation, but it does have a little variation. So I guess that's unlike a micron pen. And I'm trying to get better at drawing rooms and interiors. I mean, I'm trying to get better at drawing everything, but drawing in perspective is like one of those things that they're like, hey, guess what? You have to learn how to draw like this. And so I figured, like, if I'm gonna be trying to draw rooms in perspective, I mean, maybe I should go to the comic that has like the name of like the name Apartment 3G, because like half the scenes have to be like in the apartment, because the apartment is the name of the comic. So Apartment 3G is one of those comics that I feel like I just skipped as a kid. Like I did not read. I don't know anything about it. I have no like strong emotional connection to Apartment 3G. And it's kind of funny. I mean, there's like lots of stuff. I was like, oh, I didn't really do any research, but there's all this stuff I could talk about anyway. And so I'll just talk a little bit about it. It's done by a guy named Kotsky, and he illustrated it for a very long time. And yeah, I think it has nice art. I like looking at it. I have no complaints on that score. I haven't like read through the archives of this comic. Like, I don't know how it works, and I would be interested in doing that, honestly, because if it's like I don't know, comic soap operas are a little bit different. So I guess I'm just interested in like the story breaks, like are they always leaving you on like a cliffhanger? Like how did they structure the stories? Because my impression is that there's like a lot of serialized stories that like take place over, lots of strips, but that they're also not dependent. So it's not like, like a 75-year story. It's like there's a story arc, it's over, and then something else happens. But what interests me is like, so I was more interested in the writer of Apartment 3G. Like, the art is wonderful, like, and so many great interiors, and I could see myself coming back to this again and again. It's sort of like Hal Foster was amazing for exteriors, like for being out in the world, and Alex Kotsky just has all these like beautiful interiors, like just like. And I don't know if it's just because it's like more vintage now, like the style, because I'm sure it was like very modern at the time. It's like supposed to be like these girls living in this like Manhattan apartment, or these ladies, women, however you want to say it. Yeah, and he just has drawn all these like you want to be there, you want to like live in this apartment because it looks cool. But so looking at this, like first, like this panel, it's so funny because it's like, what is this? Like, what is happening? Like, what is this cloud? And it took me a while to figure it out, but their roommate is Ellen, and I'm like, is something on fire? No, they're in the kitchen. Like, that if something was going to be on fire, it would be in the kitchen. Maybe, okay, so this is a bathroom, there's a shower curtain, maybe she's smoking, and it turns out that she's taking a shower. So, like, this is like in the days before, like, you had a fan in your bathroom, and I guess you had to have the door open to, like, let all the steam come out. But this just seems like it's on fire. So I think that's like a funny artistic choice. But I'm glad because it's like, oh, this is kind of nice to like, oh, I'm not, sorry, let me finish my thought. I was like, oh, it's kind of nice to see this representation of like a cloud of steam, like just like how it's rendered. And then I'm like spending this time on it when I set up this whole live stream to be about 1 point perspective. So yeah. I don't want to lose my chain of thought. I feel like I've been doing that quite a bit on these, where I'll just like start and then I'll have like a half-finished thought. So I want to talk about the writer of this. And so the writer of Apartment 3G, I guess, did a bunch of other comics. He did Judge Parker and Rex Morgan XD. So, I mean, I feel like 3 is a lot of comics. So he's not nobody. And I guess at the time, the comic that was really successful was Mary Worth. And so Mary Worth is like, also has some nice interiors, and I could see myself like doing that one. And the thing about Mary Worth is that, like, and my whole rant, I guess, is that Mary Worth was like a soap opera, and it got really like great. And then the guy who wrote it, I think his last name is like it's not Dallas, but it's like Dallas. He was like, oh man, you know what this soap opera needs? A male protagonist. And throwing no shade. Like, great, have a soap opera with a male protagonist. But it's just sort of like, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, maybe the thing that made Mary Worth popular was that it was about, like, a woman who was older, who was, like, independent and solving mysteries. But, I don't know. I guess what Dallas originally proposed was, like, he was a doctor. The author of the strip, not the artist, and he, like, wrote and was like, haha, I'm a doctor. Perhaps I could write a comic about... Oh, sorry. This keeps... I need to get a new cord that, like, attaches my iPad to the screen. Now it's telling me it might not be... this accessory might not be supported, and I'm like, you were supporting it 10 seconds ago. So... The guy who wrote this, I'll tell the story as I like try and troubleshoot my technical problems. He was a doctor, and I can't remember. Like, I read like the Wikipedia about it, and it basically just sounds like he wrote a letter to like the void. I don't know who he wrote a letter to, and was like, oh my gosh, I have this great idea for a comic, and it's just tracing the history of medicine, and quite rightly. Whoever he wrote the letter to was like, yeah, that's not a thing. That's not going to be good. Maybe if you wrote about a doctor getting involved with his patients, and the guy's like, yeah, that's gold. There's nothing weird about a comic about a guy who, like, isn't a doctor who's involved with his patients. That's not a violation of ethics at all. We'll just do it. And then it was super successful, and it's still going today. So what do I know? Just me complaining about things. So when I say it's still going today, so this comic, Apartment 3G, I think it was like launched in like 1961, and it went until 2015. That was when it still went. And so obviously the writer of these, Dallas, he's dead. Like, he has passed on. He, I think, died perhaps in 1990. And so you're saying, oh, if he died in 1990, how is it that we're still having his comics 20 years later? Has it really been 20 years since 1990? If it's 2020 now, no, it's 30 years. Oh dear. So yeah, so they're like, okay, 30 years later, 30 years after the death of the author, how is that still going? And if you're watching this, you probably already know what that kind of strip is called, and that they call it a zombie strip because it's like it just keeps shambling on after the original creator has died or has abandoned the strip or whatever. And so other strips that are like this would be Peanuts, Snoopy, which is Peanuts. I say that like they're two separate comics. Blondie, which I actually like. Gasoline Alley. I'm trying to think of other ones, because some are just like so tied to the creator. I'm sure they would have tried to keep, like, say, Calvin and Hobbes going if they could have. I mean, Garfield, you might be able to make that argument. I think Jim Davis is still involved, and Jim Davis is still alive. So you might also say that Prince Valiant is now a zombie strip because it's just changed hands. It's so far from where Hal Foster was with it. So yeah, so for all my complaints about the soap opera, it's still going. So what do I know? Here's the reason why I'm kind of salty about it. And it's not because I don't think men can write romances. I just think there is one man who okay, back it up, Chris K-Mac. You gotta like you have to like complete your thoughts. Okay, so here's the thing. When I was a kid, I watched soap operas because I liked the romance genre, and I think I've talked about that in other live streams about how I don't know, it's just a genre. It's a genre that I have a lot of fondness for, and a middle school girl's love of. And the two soap operas that I watched were Days of Our Lives and General Hospital. And the thing about soap operas is that, like, you can get involved in like a particular storyline, and then when that storyline's over, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I don't really enjoy this anymore. And I remember like really precisely when it happened with Days of Our Lives. So I was kind of obsessed. Like, so this was the 90s, and I was obsessed with John and Marlena on Days of Our Lives. And Marlena was like, there was this guy named Stefano, and I don't know, I guess like Stefano kind of looked like maybe Pavarotti. And he would like kidnap Marlena and like held her in a bird cage under the streets of Paris. And like he took her out for Bastille Day, and they all got to wear fancy costumes. Anyway, I loved it. But then that got resolved. Like, John rescued her, and Stefano went to jail, and later he, like, I don't know, he always gets out eventually and is causing trouble. He's probably still on the show, honestly. I haven't watched Days of Our Lives in a long time. Yeah, and so then, like, that story ends. Marlena gets rescued, and then it's like a bunch of drama with their kids, because maybe John pretended to be dead so he could go rescue her, and Stefano wouldn't know. I don't know. That's like a really typical soap opera plot. But anyway, I kind of like lost interest, and like there was this storyline where these characters like entered like this VR world that was also the Garden of Eden, and I just remember watching it and being like, this is ridiculous. I don't need to watch this anymore. And what I would do is I would record them because it was on while I was at school, so I would like set something to record. Anyway, that's like part one, or like the prologue of the story. Oh, this is a chair. Sometimes I don't even realize what I'm drawing into. Like what are these lines? It makes more sense when you think about what they actually are. Just pro tip, think. So that's part one. And I also watched General Hospital, and my favorite character on General Hospital at the time was Jason. And Jason was this guy, and he grew up in a rich family, and they were the family of doctors. And the part where I started watching the show was Also Laura was my favorite character. But so I started watching the show, and he had just been in like an accident, and he'd lost all his memories, and he'd become a different person. And so it was sort of like the show was like, his storyline on the show was about like figuring out who he was. Like, he was like, you know, I used to be Jason Quartermain, and now I'm gonna call myself Jason Morgan. Oh gosh, and Brenda and Sunny were on it. Anyway, there's a lot going on that I was really into, and I would record it, and I'd come home every day after school and watch it, and I would like read spoilers. That was like my first introduction to internet culture, like in like 1996, because I was like online looking for spoilers. So yeah, I was into it, and eventually I think some stuff happened where I was just like not as interested anymore, and like I was going to school and I was going to college, so I just like kind of stopped watching. Especially because when I got to college, I didn't have a TV, and it was like before the days of being able to watch something online. And yeah, so that's part one. And so then part two, like I read an article online, and they're like, oh, this is nuts, but did you know that James Franco, like legitimate movie star, is going to have a guest run on General Hospital? And I was like, what? Like, James Franco? And this was back when like, it's not that James Franco isn't a guy now, because he is like a movie star now. But I think it was at a time where he was like, his star was a little brighter. Like, I feel like now they wouldn't ask him to host the Oscars, but like then they would have, and so he was more of a like, is James Franco gonna be a thing? And I think the answer now is like sort of, but like then it was like he could be a big thing. So James Franco, he's gonna be on General Hospital, and so I watch it, and he like plays like a serial killer, I don't know, who's like obsessed with Jason, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Jason. And that's the thing, is that like you can like start watching soap operas again, like even 10 years later, and it's like all the same actors mostly, or it's at least the same characters with different actors. And so I started watching General Hospital again, and then I realized, I was like, as I was watching it, I was like, you know, why is this story so much about Jason and mobsters and like the men in the town, Port Charles, like where's the romance? And then like as I started like online culture much more accessible to me in this new period of my life, that I realized that like the head writer and showrunner for General Hospital is a dude. And again, nothing wrong with that, and nothing wrong with having a soap opera that features men, but at some point I'm just kind of like, I mean, the part that I liked about it was the romance, and it was really gone. And I think sometimes some men can have like a different conception of romance, and so that's why when I found out that the guy who wrote Apartment 3G was like, yes, you know what these soap operas need is men. I'm like triggered. I'm like, oh, I remember when that time when I started watching General Hospital again, and it ended up just being about all the men in town. And yeah, General Hospital's still going, I think it's still on the air, which is impressive, because a lot of soap operas have really kind of lost it, been canceled, or it's just not a genre that I think, especially in the states that we do well, because obviously like telenovelas are super popular, and there's a lot of like South Korean soap operas that are super, super popular, and so it's like it's there. I just think it's a genre that like we're just not super well set up to appreciate or handle, because like I don't know, you know what, I don't know, I'm not even going to speculate. Let's talk about this drawing. So I titled this live stream 1 point perspective because I'm interested in getting better at 1 point perspective drawing and drawing interiors. And so this has that sort of classic 1 point perspective. And 1 point perspective just means that the the lines in the drawing all converge on one point. And so this one, like if we take these lines and we find out where they cross, and the lines that I'm going on are just sort of the lines in the drawing, and you can see that they all kind of come back to a particular point, and it's right here. I'm not like necessarily trying to use this as like I don't know, like this part of it, like this is part of building. Like if I was gonna like, and they all kind of meet around here. Like if I was gonna build a room, I'd start with these lines, but my purpose tonight is really just to practice the kind of line work and like look at the way that he's doing the lines. Like so if you like look at her dress, you can see a lot of like thick line work there, but with all of these sort of housewares and like the build of the door, it's really thin lines, and so like that's the part that I'm interested in looking at. Just like not even so much how did he construct the drawing, but like what kind of lines is he using and why and where. And it really does look like he's using sort of these thin lines for the architecture of it. And I don't know if that's like the case for like all of them that he draws, but I think it's a case for a lot of them. I've looked through a few, and yeah, we'll just see how mine looks compared to his once we get a little further along. Like where is he getting the shadows? Like these are pretty good. I don't know like if he like was maybe going from photographs, but it's like there's so much detail, and you kind of have to get it right, because people know what this stuff looks like. Yeah, that's what I'll say to that. Something else I wanted to talk about tonight. Oh boy. So tomorrow, I live in the US, and tomorrow is the election, which is exciting, but also like I think people are just like on edge. So I'm like happy to do this tonight to like kind of be a distraction, like no matter which way it goes. Like so the town that I live in, like I was like browsing Reddit earlier today, and like my town was on the front page of our all, and it was like there's these pictures on Reddit of like businesses in my town boarding up their windows because they know how we are. I'm not gonna be smashing windows tomorrow night, absolutely not, but it's just like it's like weird reverse Christmas where you're like not you're like something's happening tomorrow that's going to be exciting, but not like fun exciting. There's no presents, just potential violence ? Which is why comics are so nice. It's like this escape. Yeah, I guess the other thing I wanted to talk about, like I didn't prepare. Again, I'm just talking. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I hope your day's going well. I kind of started doing this because I work from home now because of the pandemic, and hopefully because of life, because I like working from home a lot more than I do going into the office. But I've been listening to just a lot of like YouTube videos because there's like a million of them and they're free. And there's this I was just like, wait, if all these people can live stream, maybe I could live stream stuff. And so there's this YouTuber, I watch a lot of his videos, and he was just talking about how he just hit 10,000 subscribers, and he like never did any advertising, and it was all like word of mouth. I was just thinking about how I like to no one say at the end of these streams like, comment, and subscribe, because that's what you have to do on YouTube. And And I thought about like, oh, maybe it'd be worth like examining why I'm saying that. So I've talked in many live streams, and when I talk about that particular issue of feeling like you have to say something like that, I've mentioned that I used to work at a marketing agency, and it's true. It's like marketing is really funny, and it was really like enlightening to work at a marketing agency and just kind of realize what was happening. So I go to a philosophy discussion group, and one time we had a discussion where someone was saying that they were immune to marketing, that marketing didn't work on them. And I always think this is funny, because a lot of people think that, or they say that, and maybe it is true. Maybe they're the one person that marketing doesn't work on, but I think they just don't. I think people, generally speaking, don't realize how much marketing they are actually exposed to and affected by. So the reason that people say like, comment, and subscribe is because they have done studies, like blind testing, like when you say like, comment, and subscribe and when you don't. And in every single study, if you tell people to do something, they are more likely to do it. It reminds them that, oh yeah, that's a thing that I should do. So it's like if you're not saying something like, comment, and subscribe at the end of a stream, or I think like people make fun of it now because it's so ubiquitous. They'll be like, smash that like button, because I think like there's some really obnoxious people that have said stuff like that. But it's not just for YouTube to say like, comment, and subscribe. It's like, call today. Now the person's like it's just like that subliminal push where it's like, oh, perhaps I will call. When should I call? Today. Anytime you see like a button on a website that's like, click here, that's like a thing that's been proven to get more people to click the thing, just having it say click here. Although truthfully they don't say click here anymore. That's an older call to action, as we call them, or CTAs. I think learn more is one that they might use more. And the reason is that if you're on your mobile, you're not clicking. Or if you're on a screen, like it's not everyone, if you're on a screen reader, let me finish the thought. You're not clicking anything. You're just, so you don't want to like exclude people. It's like, oh, I can't click. I guess I'm not subscribing to that content. But yeah, so it's like, if you are one of those people that thinks that you're not affected by advertising, here's the example that I sometimes use, is which is a more expensive kind of car? Is it a Kia or a Mercedes? And usually people, if they're playing fair, will answer a Mercedes. And then I'll ask the question, how do you know that a Mercedes is more expensive than a Kia? And I had someone who really resisted this, and then they had answered like that a Mercedes was more expensive, and they swore up and down that they weren't affected by marketing. And I was like, well, how do you know that a Mercedes is more expensive? And she said, it's because, well, I have like friends who have cars. And I'm like, well, there you go. Even if you're immune, your friends are not. And so it's like, if someone's ever recommended a TV show to you, or a product, or a doctor in your town, or something, that is considered marketing. And that's the best kind, word of mouth marketing, because it just means that people like your product enough to recommend it to others. And that's like the best way to go, because it's free and it means that you did a good job. And so that's what this guy was saying, who had 10,000 subs. He's like, I've never marketed this at all. I've never begged for subs. I've never, it's all just been organic growth. And I'm like, well, good for you. It's like, good job. Like, good job. He's a good speaker. He's speaking on an interesting topic. No, I'm not going to name him. But I almost feel like it's a little bit like, there's this great line from an Eminem rap, and this is like this is like the only time I'm gonna reference Eminem. I can't make, you know what? I shouldn't make promises I can't keep. But so there was a time where, like, remember when Will Smith was a rapper, and he had Welcome to Miami, and like his big thing about rapping, Will Smith, was that he like did clean rap, and so Eminem has this line that's like, Will Smith doesn't have to cuss to sell records, but I do, so F him and F you too. Except he doesn't say F, he says the F word. And so I'm like, oh, it's nice for that guy that he doesn't have to say things like, comment, and subscribe. But I'm like, oh no, it's not that I'm not talking about an interesting topic. I'm just like not an expert. I'm not even that good at it. So I'll have to take whatever I can get. I probably wouldn't. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't want to predict the future, but if you are listening to this, thank you. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. When you work as a graphic designer, you're just kind of like, you accept that there are like parts of your job that I don't know, like, so marketing doesn't work on you, I'm sure, as you say. And I can see why people have that impression, because I thought I had that impression before I started working at a marketing agency. And one of the reasons that you think that is that you get so much marketing that truthfully doesn't work on you. Like, since we're so close to the election, I've been getting like election stuff in the mail every day. And I'm like, joke's on you, I already voted. So it's like all worthless to me because I already voted. Like, it doesn't matter how many direct mailers you sent me, I'm not going to vote for or against whatever because I've already voted. Like, that has passed. But there's other times where, like, it doesn't work on you. Like, if you think about in that discussion of marketing, one person's example was and on YouTube, I think it's all over the place, is that you're going to get insurance advertisements for like a particular insurance company. And there's one, Liberty Insurance, which does like a gazillion ads. And you probably even could say the jingle in your head where it's like, Liberty, 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 Liberty. Yeah, and he's like, yeah, I would never have Liberty Insurance. And I'm like, well, he's like, oh, it must be such a waste of money for them to run those ads. And here's what I'd say to that, is that if it was a waste of money, they wouldn't do it. And I'm not saying people don't waste money on advertising because they do, but a lot of times, like, you're not the person that they're targeting, that you're not the person who's affected by that ad. But I guarantee you there are people that are drawn to that ad. I feel like those letters turned out pretty well. It's hard to say. Not great, actually. I'm still working on lettering. But, like, there's this phrase in marketing called top of mind. And there are some advertisements that are only going to reach people when something is top of mind. So it's like, the Liberty ad is really for the person who needs insurance today. And if you don't need insurance today, you are not the person for that Liberty ad. But that's still okay. They can still get you sort of second hand if, like, when you do need insurance, you'll have heard of them. Like, when you're looking at all the options, you are more likely to go with something that you're familiar with. And so they're getting, like, their name in your head. And they're getting, like, a perception of their brand, which is fine. I think, like, insurance is an interesting one because in the US, everyone needs car insurance if you're going to have a car. So there's always people that, like, need insurance. That's like a need in our society, insurance. And I think there's like a lot of food advertising which can make you hungry. I think one of the best stories I heard about food advertising is that at Chili's, which is again, I'm just like speaking for an international audience, probably not having one, but Chili's is like a Tex-Mex chain restaurant, and you could go to any Chili's. I think there's a joke about it in The Office where it's like they go to Chili's a lot, so people are probably pretty familiar with it. But one of the things they have there is like sizzling fajita platters, and that's where like to your table they bring like a plate of sizzling food. It's like sizzling hot and it smells super good, and like if you're just like in the restaurant, like everybody can smell the sizzling fajita platters. And so what they do is that when they know one's gonna go out, they'll like queue up 2 or 3 more because people will smell it and then they'll want it. So I think that's like it's like in-house marketing. I think that's not quite right, but we're gonna go with it. I like these ladies back here too. I just like this kind of, I don't know. I just like comics. Oh, big surprise from the lady doing a live stream about inking comics. I just love illustrations. I loved reading them as a kid. I love them now. I am curious what's going to happen tomorrow. In 2016, everyone was like, oh, it's going to go this way. And then it went the other way. And now people are like, it's going to go this way. I'm like, is it? Because I remember last time when you said that. I just hope nobody gets hurt. Like, people in my town have been killed during these protests. Like, not many. But there's been like murder. Like, there's just been violence, and it's just disheartening. And a lot of it, so I live in the Pacific Northwest, and like a lot of times we're in the news and I'm like, it's not even like that here, but you just keep saying it that. This is a not super high res sample, so I'm kind of on my own in terms of like these features. Let's see if I can get anything that like even looks halfway nice. This is not what it looks like in the drawing, but we're just gonna, I mean, because she's pretty far back in the composition, so I don't think we have to do anything crazy. Or sorry, we don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. Like, we don't have to take heroic measures. Just get something that's kind of there, kind of close to like a human figure. This is where like the value of this comes in for me, where it's like, oh, all this practice means I can almost fill in the dots of what this is meant to look like. That chin. Yeah, I don't know. You just got nothing wrong with masking that chin on a lady. We're just like doing it, it just gets worse and worse. Oh boy. Okay. We're gonna make this a lot smaller so we don't erase everything. We're just gonna give her like a nicer chin. Yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna, you know what? We're not gonna dwell on the things. Like, God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. There's more to that. Can't remember though. I do think it's funny, like there was just this time in comics where they're like, I don't know. I'd have to look up who started Mary Worth, but I'm just like, if you want to have a comic about cool, fun ladies who live in Manhattan, why not have it drawn by a cool, fun lady who, you know, I'm not saying that men can't draw women, but like, I don't know what it was like Like if it was really just like women weren't expected to work, like this was 1965, so it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like it was 1980, where I think it was a lot like more common, but I don't know. It's just like it's hard to know why, like why it happened like this. I mean, I don't know, it was successful, so, which doesn't always necessarily mean anything. You know what's not successful is this hair. I'm sure that's not what it looked like in the real thing, but we'll just call it good, just because. I do kind of want to get just a little bit more before I sign off. But I shouldn't make that mean I'm going too fast. No, I would definitely draw with this guy again. He just the practice is good. I'm just making a little coffee. Yeah, I need to figure out like this perspective, because like when I was drawing the perspective stuff earlier, I was sort of groaning in my mind because like it really wasn't following like the rules, and I'm like using scare quotes. It's like I feel like there's something I'm missing in like constructing rooms like this, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. Like if I like Google things like errors or like common mistakes in perspective drawing, I'm like, I think maybe I just need to do it more. I don't know. I don't even know how much this makes sense. Like, because I feel like there's rules where like everything follows like one line to a vanishing point, and when I did that earlier on this drawing, that's not how it works. So like, there has to be some other way that people are navigating this way of drawing, and I just don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if he just had like his own style or what. Because if you look at student one perspective drawings, like everything gets really huge the closer it gets to the viewer. Okay. But like here, it's not like that. Like, I don't know if it's just like the way the room is cut, or like what he chose to focus on. I mean, that looks pretty good. I should give these ladies legs. They're like ghosts floating in the wind. Let's get that rug in there at least. Yeah, basically I'm just saying I'm still learning. Like, I feel like every drawing book in the world like has like a this is 1 point perspective section, but they don't often have like a lot of examples where it like, you know, sort of goes beyond that student, like, here's a room with a bed and a desk. Like something that is more like this, that maybe there's like some rule that can be broken that I'm just like not aware of, or like some other way of managing it. I just don't know. It's hard to say, like, especially because I haven't done it more. It's fun drawing all these little lines. Okay. Yeah, and I've just used this one technical pen the whole time, and it's kind of a... I'm using the tech pen. It doesn't have quite as much variation, but it's done pretty well for this purpose. Okay, let's give these... Father, give me legs. That's from The Simpsons, which might have stolen it from something else. It's the episode where like Homer makes a sentient robot and like just abandons him in the garage, and that's what he says to him. It's like, Father, give me legs. I think about that a lot. These are going to be not bad legs, but just like not like great legs. And the only reason I'm hurrying is because I sometimes post these just like the finished things to my Instagram, and I want like there to be enough of the finish to like be worth posting. Okay, let's take a look again. I think we might just need to get that speech bubble. And then I can post it? No, we also should... Okay, I'm gonna fake it. I'm just gonna give this line here because I think that'll like delineate the space. Take a look. Yeah, better. We're gonna do that one line. And if you're curious, if you've listened this far, and you're like, oh, I wonder how it works. Like when you hold down the pen at the end, it'll straighten out the line for you. And when you hold it down, it'll also like give you the shape. So sometimes that's a nice way to like handle stuff like what I'm doing now. Oh, jeez. Worst live streamer ever. Oh no, there's probably someone who like murdered someone on their live stream. So at least as long as I don't do that, I won't be the worst. I might be like the most mediocre broadcasting on the West Coast at this time of day. I feel like that's like a reasonable thing to say. I'm sorry. I'm not that sorry, but I'm like a little sorry. For myself mostly. Just annoying. I don't even know how long it's been out for. Ugh. Maybe we'll just end it here. I mean, I've been going for 47 minutes. That's pretty good. Well, you know why I have to say like, comment, and subscribe. If you listen this far, thank you so much. It was great to spend some time with you. And join me again. I'll do this more. I'll talk to you later.